What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Fab, Freddie Fox, America's big brother, and we back with the Saturday Night Sit Down. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Fab, Freddie Fox, America's big brother, and we back with the Saturday Night Sit Down. And tonight, I got the honor of sitting down with the one and only MrPr3zz. What's going on, my man?
What's up? What's up, man? I'm so excited to be on, man. So dope to be on here.
Yo, this is absolutely amazing, man. I'm so glad, like I said, I started this podcast and going out and doing these things because the people that I've been able to meet and get in contact with, and it's just so incredible. I'm a huge people person. I love people; they fascinate me. So being able to sit down and talk to people, especially people like this, like that I follow, man. I watch a lot of your stuff, man. I love your content. You're absolutely hilarious, and it's just a lot of informative things too. It's not just what I like about it is that it's not just one thing that you add to your videos. There's educational, there's funny, there's temporary, there's so much things. So my first question is, how did you first start on this, or when did you discover that, or how did you begin just doing what you do, bro?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. I get asked a lot, so I got started in it last year. So I I'm an artist, and I also did art acting as well. So I started the page off as an artist, and then from there I was like, man, pandemic hit, so I couldn't really travel as much. So I was like, man, what can I do on my page other than just music? I'm so interested in theories and things like that. So I was like, I'm gonna try doing a theory on my own. Started doing it, didn't work out as well. All then I was trying to research how to be an influencer as well. I did it for about 3 months of research, and then I tried it on my own on what I learned. So I tried to do conspiracy theories. I tried to do all that, just the theories itself, just me and the theory.
Right, right.
And then I was like, well, that's not working. I'm not really getting a lot of views from it. So I was like, what else can I do? So I was looking at people are doing mukbang, right? So I tried doing that for like a month, and it was like it's not working. So I was like, what if I put both of them together? No one's doing that. So if somebody's doing a theory, they're doing it well. Somebody else eating, they're doing it well. How can I put those together? So I do edit and I put it together. And I seen my first video, and this was on TikTok. My first video hit like
Right.
10,000 views, and then I gained
Nice.
I think I gained like 5,000 followers from there. And then the next day it hit 100,000. Then I gained 10,000 followers. So it just kept going on. It kept going viral. And then I hit a million views on that video. So I just like kept that going from TikTok. Then I jumped over to Instagram and tried that. And then yeah, now it's just like it's going places. So yeah,
Yeah, no, and I think like that's the biggest thing, right? A lot of people that ask me, right? There's like, oh, what do I need to do? And I can't do this, or I don't figure this out. All you got to do is just start, right? And that's how you figure it out. That's how I started with my podcast. And that's how you do it, right? You start, you see what works, what doesn't work, you make adjustments, you change. But if it's something that you want to do, just start doing it,
right.
and you're gonna start figuring it out. And then you learn through experience, and you start developing all these different things and skill sets because you're actually doing what you want to do. If you sit there waiting and pondering and thinking and keep telling yourself you're not going to be ready or you're not ready, you're never going to be ready. So I think that's very key. Like you said,
Yeah.
going out there, you wanted to make an impact, you wanted to do something, and you kept trying. Like, well, let me see what works. Let me go around, and you finally found it, and look, here we are now, man. Now you got all these views, you got all these followers, man. I'm sure you're just living life and loving it, which is amazing, and all starting again from having that vision, right?
Yeah.
You knew what you wanted and you just set into action, right? And you listened to the cues, and as they came, you took action, right? But action is very, very important when we start doing these
No.
things, right? A lot of people fail to do
Yeah,
that.
definitely. And I have a few clients too, so and I do manage their social media. And the first step for them is actually setting up the camera and just starting. They
Hmm.
have talent, they have the abilities to do it. They procrastinate, and that's what holds a lot of people back. Is just be like, well, I
Yeah.
want to make sure it's perfect. It's like you're never gonna get it perfect. Some of my videos are never
Hmm.
perfect. Sometimes I fumble during the video, but that makes it even more funny.
Right, and it's more authentic, right? Like, it's
Exactly. It
real.
makes
Like,
it real.
people can tell when things are scripted, and
Exactly.
it is just so like that. I mean, we've gotten to a point where we're trained on that, right? We're trained in spotting these things and what's fake and how to see that. So when you do things that are not authentic or not genuine to who you are, and people can tell, and that actually does you more harm than
Yeah.
good, right? Like people love the underdog story, right? They love people, that make mistakes and they can come out of things, and that's kind of like the reason why I started this and doing this podcast too, right? To started developing that, but the whole other aspect is because I've noticed that, and I'm sure you're aware too, like in our community, we have a bad rap when it comes to our dads, right? We have all those dad jokes and stuff like that, but a lot of it holds true. The majority of my friends, their dads weren't in their life. I was the only lucky one to have my dad in my
Mm.
household, right? Out of my five best friends, one out of five had their father in their home,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so and that affected me, and also I seen how it impacted them growing up, right? And when we're looking for these positive real male role models, and we're looking into a lot of cases these wrong areas, right?
Mm.
Especially I feel like that nowadays is that these kids are idolizing the wrong things and looking, because of the lack thereof of positive male role models and people doing the right thing. So when I seen you doing your videos and doing something like that, right, it's someone that we see, right? Like just like us, right? We can relate to you. We see that and we're coming up, and it gives us hope and inspiration. So that's why I wanted to have you sit down and come here on my show. And like I do for everybody, my very first question to you, right? If you're sitting down and thinking about it, what do you think are some of the key characteristics or qualities that make up a good man or a good person?
Yeah, definitely. I think being honest and true to who you are, that definitely makes a person who someone can look up to. Because you have a lot of people that make up lies and just just talk just to talk. Like you get people just like, oh yeah, I got all this money, I got all this going for
Hmm.
me, but in behind closed doors, they're suffering. They're
Yeah.
going through a lot, but if you're honest and you're open, man, it can touch a lot of people in different ways of just being encouraging to them. But I think just being honest for yourself and being honest to others, it can, like when I'm honest to somebody, like my wife doesn't like it, but it's like it shows growth. Like you want somebody to grow, you want them to be more. You want them to learn. If somebody doesn't know something, like and you know that information, why not give it to them?
Right.
But yeah, that's how I feel as a man. As far as in my household, I try to be as honest as I can to my family, to my daughters. I have two kids, and that's how my dad was before he passed, because he passed. But um, I have a stepdad now, but when he was in the house, like he would be open and honest. He would take us to different places, and and yeah, man, I feel like as a man, as I'm growing to be a father of two, it's hard, but it
Hmm.
definitely is rewarding, being that man stature in the household.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think, like you said, honesty is huge, right? I mean, and that's just like we said before, right? When people see the authenticity of things and knowing when you're being real and when you're being honest, and when you fail to be honest, then that lose people lose
Yeah,
trust in you and guidance, right? And they can't really relate to you. So for me, with my daughter, I got two kids too. My daughter, right? And one number one thing is I always tell her is don't lie to me. Please
yeah,
don't lie. Like if I know like you may be scared of certain things and you may be like you don't want to get in trouble, but if you have something that's big and you want, just tell me, Dad, I need to talk to you. And at that point, I know I got to register myself and kind of collect my thoughts and my emotions to understand what's going on with you, right? Because you have feelings and you should be able to speak them
right,
freely without having that judgment, right? And being honest is just like that with them. Like my mom never told me a lie, right? She everything I asked her, and she told me that straight up. Like anything you ask me, whatever, I'm just gonna tell you the truth. I'm no good at lying, right? And one of the biggest things that I love about my mom is that she even though I didn't follow it when I was young because I was too busy trying to impress everybody else and trying to fit in, but my mom always had this thing. She always said, I'd rather people hate me for who I am than love me from who I'm
mm,
not. Right. And that as I got older, I started to understand what that really meant. And I knew what that meant for me too, like growing up and wanting to live free and be who I am. Like I tell a lot of people in other podcasts too that, I did look up to, and I do look up to Martin Luther King and Mahatma Gandhi and, Rosa Parks and all those
yeah,
people. Right. But one of the biggest people who I absolutely love is Dennis
mm,
Rodman. And the reason because of that is because Dennis Rodman was Dennis Rodman. He wasn't anybody else. He wasn't trying to be Michael Jordan. He wasn't trying. He was out. The thing that resonated me when people would talk about was like, oh, that's just Dennis being
mm,
Dennis. Like, how key is that? That you are your own thing. That people can only describe you as
yeah.
you. right? And I envied that because I knew I couldn't be that. Like I was so scared to be that free.
Mm.
So seeing him go out there and just crazy, and putting on these wedding dresses and Mary McDonald and the crazy hair and going to WWE in the middle of the playoffs and doing like he was just doing what he wanted to do and living life to this
Yeah.
fullest. And I envy that. I mean, even today, like he's best friends with the leader of North Korea. Like, what? Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, but it's Dennis being
Yep.
Dennis. And that's what I try to push onto my kids too. Like, I want my daughter and I want them to grow up to be comfortable with who you are at a very, very
Mm.
early age. Love who you are. Be 100% confident because now with social media, like the pros and the cons about it, right? We see all these things that we want to keep our kids
Right.
away from, but at the same time, it gives us access to people who are just like
Hmm.
us. So even though in our own environment, in our own area, right here, right now, there may not be somebody who is into the same things that I'm into, but if I go on Instagram or Facebook and just type in, like Pokemon cards or this, that, or whatever, you'll find a whole society of people who like you and will
Yep.
accept you, and you can find your home. Back when I was growing up, we didn't have that. We're struggling. I'm like, well, if I'm with the cool kids, then I got to act this way and this way and this way. And if I'm over here, then I got to act this way and this way and this way. But I was never
Yeah,
me.
yeah, no, no, I agree with you. I even tell a lot of people like, last week I reached like 2 million people, for my videos that I post last week. I gained about like 3 or 4 thousand followers last week, but those are the real people that actually get me. Those are the people that
Right.
understand my content and then watch my lives,
Mhm.
when I go live, so I can actually communicate with them, and have that conversation. I have plenty of times when I went live, and there'll be young boys who, look up to me, who want to talk to me like as a big brother, as a
Yeah.
role model. They're like, "Oh man, I really love your videos." Some I think it was like a couple months ago, someone actually reached out and said, "Hey, I'm going through this situation. How would you handle it?" And I was able to just bluntly on live and just tell them how I would handle it and gave them some advice, and told them, hey, things are gonna get better. I know, like kids in school right now go through a lot of stuff, and they see a lot of stuff on Instagram and
Mhm.
Facebook and things like that, and they think it's real, but in reality, it's fake. Like so many people wear so many masks
Yeah.
on social media. It's crazy. It's crazy. But to have this outlet on social media to be actually a role model, for someone to look up to, is a huge opportunity for me to actually, not be in front of the camera and just eat, but actually be a person
Right.
of influence to help other people and to make people laugh and smile through their day of whatever they're going through. When they scroll through my page, I can give them that little joy that they can have if they're
Yeah.
going through something. So, yeah, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's so important, when we do acquire that platform and we achieve that, right, to use it for the greater good as much as we can. And that's just the whole what I'm trying to do as well too, right, dude, to grow that platform to be able to help as many people as I possibly can. I seen this quote too, where it's like I want God to bless my pockets enough so I can bless those the
Mm.
others. Like I really, there's so many more things that I want to do to help the world and all these people and stuff. And it's a matter of that, using your platform for the greater good and sticking to that message, right, and not letting anything else sway you because again these kids again so much content now like is consumed through
Yeah.
Instagram and YouTube and so and on all these platforms, right? It's not about the TV or like I got a cable box in my house right now, man. I don't know how many times I actually watch cable TV. You know what I mean? Like my kids don't know how to work it,
Yeah.
like you know what I mean, but they can get a tablet and get my remote and go to the PlayStation and Netflix and like in a
Right.
heartbeat. And it's kind of scary too, because like as you're mentioning that, like things that were coming through, like my daughter's in the second grade, right? And I go through a folder when she comes home from school, seeing what homework she has and things
Mhm.
like that. And then there was a paper in there talking about like how to be a good online citizen. And it's
For
just
real.
like mind-boggling, like they're teaching this, you know what I mean? Like about cyber. It's great, it's
Yeah.
wonderful, but it's like to think about how times have changed. Like I remember we grew up with the start of dial-up and all that
Exactly.
stuff, you know what I mean? Like, and all those things. And now we're at a point where our kids are learning before they can do multiplication on how to be a good online citizen and how to be a good person online, which is crazy, which tells you the power
Mhm.
that we have on these platforms, right? And it's so important that we use them in the right way. Um, and I know you kind of briefly touched about it with your dad, and I'm so sorry about his passing. I don't know how long that was, and it's never easy. And with that, so like I said, part of that show was the impact that our fathers and roles in that played for us. So for you growing up, with your dad and your stepdad, what do you think they feel that they taught you, or things that you took away from them?
Um, One thing I've taken away from both of them, even with my late father, is just being present with my family, just taking time out with them. Actually, I was supposed to today take my daughter out to the movie because I wanted to spend time with her, just with that one-on-one connection. But that's one thing that they really harped on. We traveled a lot, like we went everywhere. We went to Florida a lot of times. We went to New York, we went to Texas, like we would just travel. But we spent time together, having that family time. I think now we got technology and in our hands, like constantly everywhere we go. But putting that down is something right now is something that a lot of people struggle with. I struggle with a lot because I'm an influencer, so like constantly scrolling and learning and things like that. But it's actually making that time for them
Yeah.
is something that I've learned from my father that I'm trying to implement and put into practice right now. We travel a lot too. I travel for work a lot, but when I'm home, I try to actually take them out and do stuff as well. But being present is something I took from my late father and my stepdad.
Yeah, no, see a lot of guys, right? And I've seen that they duck out like, oh, I'm not ready to be a dad, or I don't know what I'm doing, and I just nobody does, man. Nobody got this figured out. Parenting is different. Every kid is different. Every situation is unique. Even like I was reading this the other day, right? Because a lot of people we say like, oh, me and my sister, we grew up in the same household, same parents, and all those things, and but we like one of the biggest things like when it comes to like alcohol like we treat them
Mhm.
differently like for her and nothing against like they like to drink on the weekends they party and drinking and stuff like that they get together great that's their style but for me I kind of remember all the negative aspects of it
Mhm.
what I mean like the fights in the house and the angers and stuff so I don't drink as much when I get with them I'll have a drink or
Yeah.
two here and there to be with them but it's not like my cup of
Yeah.
tea right and they all know that but then I realized it's this where it says like no matter what you do, like you don't have the same parents because really, like as again, like by the time I came into this world, the whole world has changed completely,
Yeah.
right? Me and my sister 8 years apart, so my parents had 8 years of things changing and adapting, and experience of trying things with my sister, that they could change and adapt with me and try to treat things in a different way. So that's why, even though like being in the same household and being all that, like even know that you're still different. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, and you're still even what they try to do will affect you differently. So back to what I was the whole point of that is saying is just that is we don't need to have all the answers and just be there. Just show up. Just be present. Play with them. Learn. We're gonna make
Mhm.
mistakes. I make mistakes all the time with my daughter, and I tell her, hey, you know what? Daddy made a mistake. I'm sorry. Like I was trying to do this, daddy,
Yeah.
whatever. You know what I mean? Like, but my bad. And it's just being there. Because I said before too, like your kids may never they won't remember all the times you were there and helping them out and showing them, but they will never forget the times you weren't.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like that's something they will never
Yeah.
forget. And as I said back when I was like growing up, we know those promises. Hey, daddy's gonna be to pick you up this weekend. He never show up. Or daddy just something came up and daddy can't come,
Mhm.
or no communication whatsoever at
Yeah.
all. And that is traumatizing to these
Mhm.
kids. Seeing all their friends and all that stuff growing up with their parents and their dads around, like it affects you in a certain way, no matter what anybody
No,
says.
that's true. That's true.
Um so like with that, with like you said, you had your two daughters going through your page and stuff, and I seen I guess like your daughter was doing some of those videos too, right? Eating and doing some of these comparison things and stuff. And was that more so that she was like, "Hey, daddy, like let me do this with you," or you seen her interest in it and you put her into it? Or like how did that become a
Yeah,
thing?
so I usually do the videos when when it's dinner time or if it's lunchtime and they're around. So they watch me,
Hmm.
and I always say, "Everyone, quiet down. We're about to start the video." And I say, "Ready, action!" And then they, quiet and listen, and they watch me as well when when I'm doing the videos. So they're observant of what I do. She was interested in doing a video. I've been pushing it off of the internet. I've been pushing it off of doing the video, but yeah, she did the video. I think it was this week. She did the video, and yeah, she did a really good job. But you could tell she was watching, which
Yeah. How old is she? She's your
yeah,
oldest
she's
one?
my oldest one. She is 5.
She's
Yeah,
5. Okay. And then your youngest, how old
she's
is she?
2. Yeah.
2. And my daughter is about to be 7 in November 21st, and my son is
Okay.
3. And it's funny because like you say that and we have to be careful because we don't realize how much they really are
Oh yeah.
watching. Like our kids, they're sponges and they're absorbing everything. And I say that because my daughter, she's my show. She sees me doing my thing, and I'm usually like editing and all these things and
Mhm.
stuff. And I remember one day I was, just editing some stuff and I'm playing my theme song and stuff. And like right on cue, like I hear my daughter in the background, like, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Fap. And I turn to look at, like, I mean, on cue, like
Really?
nailed it, nailed it. And I'm like, what? And it's just again, like she's constantly studying and watching. She loves that. She wants to be in front of the camera. And
Mhm.
I think it's true. Like we want to protect our kids because we know we see the dark side of the
Yeah.
internet, right? Like, and as a parent, that's what you want to shelter them from as much as you can. And I think it's better, like again, to develop that relationship with your kids that they can come to you and talk to you about anything and all those things, and then slowly introduce them to those things, so that when they do come across those things, they come to you and say, "Hey, Daddy, I saw this or I saw that or whatever," and then you'll be able to guide them, and then instead of having them go to
Right.
someone else to get that information and then having to fight that off,
Right.
right? So I think it's important that we do, like again, teach them how to go and how to go about these things and learn from our experiences so that they don't fall into those pitfalls, into those areas of danger, and teach them how to spot those things. So I think it's very great and very cool that you're encouraged because again, like they watch us and then it's crazy how you see these things, these
Oh
things
yeah.
unfold. Um, Now, as part of that, right, when it comes to your two girls, uh, what do you think is something for you that you want to try to instill in them or make sure that they grow up with, or is something that they live by?
Um, well, we're a Christian home, so I play the drums currently and the bass too in my church. So I really want them to still be in the faith, and that's where we're still building and reading with them with children books and things like that. That's one thing that I want them to take home where for them. It's just of course when they grow up they'll have their own choices, but at least we guide them into the right path. And that's what we're trying to do, is just instill that into them, of being them, and not letting the world or social media or anyone tell them who they are, but being grounded on who God created them to be. And that's basically it, man. We take them to rehearsal with us. We take them so they are engulfed into it, and that's just our beliefs. So I just hope they grow up with that. Um, so yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's important that we all have some sort of faith or some belief in something, right, or something that inspires and give us that extra push. It does go a long way, I think. I'm not a church
Mhm.
going person, right? But I am. I feel like I'm very religious, and I believe in a higher power, and I associate myself more with like my ancestors. I always say this like jokingly, but God's got a lot of people to look after for. But I got the people who passed on home. I got
Mhm.
an
Yeah,
angel,
yeah,
right? And like when things happen, I know who looks out for me, and I do that for our kids. Like before dinner, every time, God is good, God is great, God, I thank you for
mhm.
my food. Like and be grateful and show gracious, and just those little things to have them have that sense of hope and that faith in
Yeah,
something, right? I don't. It doesn't matter what it is, God, Buddha, whatever you choose to have
yeah,
faith in. Have faith
yeah,
in something, right? Because that's always going to give you that will help you get you through those dark times when you feel like there's nothing left, and you can believe like, hey, you know what? There's something out there that's magical. That will get me
yeah,
through this. And most of the times, it does happen, right? Your calls and your cries for help never go unheard. They may not come in the form that you want them or may expect them, but
yeah,
they come,
yeah. No,
you
definitely.
know?
And I think one thing that I struggled with just in high school was just my identity, and just following
Mhm.
others, instead of being my own self. Like you talked about this too. It's just like finding those who actually relate to you, and social media is a way for that. But I want them to grow up just finding their identity and not letting someone else tell them what their identity is. Um,
Yeah,
so yeah,
yeah. Yes, it's important to like let them explore. Like I know I got a lot of grief from when growing up when my daughter was coming up and she would watch videos in all sorts of different languages or whatever. I just let her expose and explore anything
yeah,
and everything, and then encourage
yep.
what she's into, and push her into that so that she can make her own decisions and do those things. You want to play baseball? Let's
Yeah,
go try it out. You want to do this? Let's go try it. You know what I mean? To give them those experiences and let them decide what they do and they don't like. And anything like that. Like even when it comes to food, right? Like I'm like, baby, just try it
Yeah.
out. Just try it. If you like it, great. If you don't, then you just spit it out and we move. But
Yeah,
at
I
least you
just
know,
it's funny
right? Like
that you
it's
mentioned
important to know.
sports because I tried sports on my young older daughter. I was like, you play basketball. She was like, yeah. She tried it and just like she like I hate it. She was like, I hate it. I was like, at least we tried it. I want to push her into doing it because she's really tall for her age. But she's
Yeah, I thought she looked older, man. Like when you said 5, I was
uh,
taken back a little bit, but yeah, she looks
yeah,
pretty
she is
tall.
really tall. I think she's one of the tallest in our class right now. But she does not like basketball. She does ballet and competitive cheer right now, and she loves that. So she'd be a little dancer.
Yeah, just push and
Oh
encourage her,
yeah.
man. I said push and encourage her and let them find the things that they want to do. I feel like I didn't get a lot of that from my parents, and I think it's because the situation is different, right? Financially, I remember I did karate. I was really into karate, and I guess we couldn't afford it anymore, so I didn't do that. I did baseball 1 year, and the 1 year that I did do it, we won a championship, so that
Mm.
was great. But I kind of wanted a little bit more. But again, I guess there's those situations, and then that I created that for my kids, and I want them to do stuff like she wants to. She loves jujitsu, and we were doing that for a
Mm.
while. And you get her back into it. Just we were traveling, and the schedule didn't work for like that month, but she really likes that, and it's gonna help her stay disciplined and develop those things that I think are gonna help her
Oh
into
yeah.
adulthood, right? And those are things that we gotta kind of focus and kind of train with them. Um, with all the stuff that's going on, it's
Oh
pretty
yeah.
crazy. Um, so when it comes to that, like with her and your daughter being into the cheer and the ballet and stuff, I mean, how often she goes to that, or how did that come to be
Yeah,
for her?
so she goes every week on Monday. But we had a membership at the YMCA, and she did tap dance, and they had ballet there. So she loved it. We tried swimming with her. She was okay. She liked getting in the water, but that was about it. She didn't really want to swim. But she really loved dance, and she dances. She does. Uh, I can't remember the game on the Xbox, but
Oh,
yeah,
dance
yeah,
bars, something
something
like that,
like
or
that.
dance? I
Yeah,
know.
she
Yeah,
does
yeah,
that
yeah,
all
yeah,
the
yeah. My
time.
daughter
She
has that
knows
too.
all the dance moves too. So he's like, we have to get you into something.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
she's in
yeah, man. Dance,
competitive
something nice
cheer. I
gear.
think they have their first competition is in I think December. But she's doing really good. She's really out dancing the other kids. So you can tell when
Nice,
she mimicked me on
nice.
the video, you could tell she watches and she learns.
Yeah.
She takes in and she remembers a lot too. So it'll be interesting on how far she can go with that. So
No, like it is because it's funny. Because again, like I just was watching the video and stuff, a lot of the facial expressions and the
yeah.
pause moments and stuff like that it's just like you. And I was like, man, like you can tell, like they're eyeing it, and I'm sure like it fills you with
They
joy,
do.
right? Like to be that and being them so proud
Yeah.
of that, And there's sometimes like I've hosted a couple of events, and stuff, and then she came there, and I can hear her in the background. It's like that's my dad, and just being so proud, and you know what I mean. Like, and it's something that I really want to leave for her that anything is
Hmm.
possible, right? And set that and be that example. I wanted to when I went to school against a college, and I was like, you know what, I got to get this degree. I wanted to see and cross that stage, and when COVID happened, it didn't work out
Hmm.
that way. So everything was this virtual, so that she didn't get to see me on stage, right? Yeah, getting
Yeah.
that diploma. But a few weeks later, I mean, like about a year later, I did my first event, and it was all about me, like my show, my podcast, my guest. I'm hosting it. It's all me in there. And she got to see that. So it wasn't her to see me cross that stage because maybe she may not want to go to college.
Yeah.
It's not for
Yeah.
everybody. You know what I mean? Like I went, I was lucky. I wanted to get that degree, but I know
Yeah.
it's not for everybody. You know, but at least this way she gets to see, when you follow your passion or your dreams, what is possible and what you can or can't do. So for her to go on stage and do that, it's not
Hmm.
unreal to her. You know what I mean? Like it's just common life. It's just a stage, me up here, and she's
Yeah.
comfortable. And that's what I wanted to be, is you comfortable with herself and then finding that. So I think that that's very important. And again, we do those things and really set by example because we're always watching. We have to be so mindful of everything we do, say, and all that stuff because they hear us, they act. And there's a lot of times too, like I know like when I act out of anger and frustration, which is something that I've been more
Yeah.
mindful of. I see her doing those things and following those, and I'm like, that's not what I want to
No.
portray. And then you really got to look at yourself a lot. So when you have kids, there is a lot of self development and self growth happening 24/7 because you don't want to impact the child, the life of
Yeah,
this
no.
child.
I
So
even I think she did it today. It's like I told her she couldn't have any candy. And then I was like working on something and then I turned around, I was like, the candy bag is gone. Where'd it go? So I go in her room, she just sitting there snacking on it. I was like, yep, I remember when I used to do that. I remember when
yeah, yeah. And he was like,
I was like,
man, like I just
you gotta get that bag back. You can't you can't do that. But they
yeah, no, no, that
it
makes
comes up.
sense.
It's like the stuff that you used to do as a kid, you could see it in your kids too. Like, okay, I can't really be that mad at them, but I have to discipline them and let them know that you can't do that. But yeah, you see a lot of that as they grow up.
Yeah, no. Yeah, it's funny. Like that happened to me. Something happened. We were at Walmart together some the other day, and she was playing with something in her hands, and I'm kind of like, "Stop playing with stuff, because you're gonna drop whatever." She dropped it. Some lady walking by like accidentally kicked it, went flying, and then she got all upset or whatever. And I'm just like, "This is why I told you, like, stop, like, just." And the lady's like, "Oh, don't be so upset with her or whatever." And then I sat for a second, and thought back, and I was like, "You know what? Now I understand why my mom always told me to
Yep,
sit on my hands." Like it's just anytime we go, just sit on your hands. I'm like, but mom,
yep,
just sit on your hands and just. I'm like, all right, you know what I mean? Like that way she knew I wasn't
yep.
touching nothing. Um, so yeah, man, it is crazy how those things they come back to us and we see those. And just kind of like to circle back because I know like you're growing up and we are talking about the dad thing, and you know you had your stepfather and your dad. From when your dad passed, what did that happen when you were really young, or you know when did you lose your
It
dad?
was when I was 12. I was in school when it happened. He had kidney issues before. Um, even before he passed, he basically like flatlined before. And they actually brought him back. And that was impactful too. But this time, yeah, I was in school when I found out. They took me out of school. I was like, "What's going on?" They rushed us, drove us to the hospital where he was at, and that's where they broke the news to us. But yeah, it was just at a random. Like he was at our church, um, and like he just fell over. They called the ambulance and they came and um, yeah, yeah. It wasn't when I was there at the funeral. I didn't cry because I was just still soaking it in
Hmm.
because I was young. I didn't cry. I think it was like
Yeah.
after everything happened, after the we went and buried him and things like that. That's when I actually it impacted me when I seen him actually in the ground. Um, but yeah, I just remember all the good times that happened. He took us playing basketball. We traveled, like I said before, we traveled a lot. He was always there. He was a full time pastor too, so he was always at home. My mom, she worked. So yeah, I seen him a lot. And now that I'm thinking about it and talking to you too, I work from home full time now. So since I'm an influencer, so I get to see my kids
Mhm.
a lot now, and I try to do a lot with them and for them as well. But yeah, I was about 12 years old when he passed.
Yeah, and that's something that I kind of instill with my daughter, right? Like, cause I don't want to tell her like that, but when we're in the car, sometimes like, oh, can I be on your phone or can I do this? So like, let me go. I'm like, baby, people are so much more
Hmm.
important than these things. When we're in the car, like I want to sit here and I want to talk to you. I want to have a conversation. Like I want us to enjoy it and be present
Hmm.
with each other. Because listen, like you and I both know, right? There's gonna come a time real soon where they're gonna want nothing to
Yep.
do with us. You know what I mean? We were like that with our parents. We just disappeared, and we were just all about our friends and being there. And I know that time is
Hmm.
gonna come, and I don't want to kind of like say those things because also too, there's like a while ago, man, I went through a lot, huge depression. Like starting this podcast and stuff like that, I fell into deep, deep depression. Gotten suicidal a couple of times, attempted, was unsuccessful a few times, and even as recently, these past couple of years, Raya and the Last Dragon came out,
Hmm.
a couple of years ago, and around that time, I went through a really, really bad depression because again, I was out of work. My family is just growing. I have my daughter, my wife, my son. I'm not really getting the money that I need. We're behind on bills. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just, what
Hmm.
do I do? And I remember going one night and I walked over to the bridge over here where the interstate is, and I was sitting on the edge of the bridge, and it was heavy traffic that night. So I was like, if I jump right now, I'm just gonna get hurt pretty bad. Like, and that's not my goal right now. I'm trying to end this. So I was like, you know what, that didn't pan out for me. So I
Mm.
came home, and then my daughter was insistent on watching this movie, Ryan. The last
Yeah,
time,
I've
have you
seen
seen
it.
it? All right. So you know the whole concept, right? You know, the daughter, the dad gets frozen into stone and she's trying all these
Yeah.
years to get him back. And she's watching this movie and she's watching this movie and it's getting to me because I'm like, man, like how much is this little girl doing to get her dad
Mm.
back, you know? And at one point in the movie, like she just turned around and just grabbed me and just hugged me and
Mm.
squeezed me, and it just thought and it brought me back to me sitting on that bridge and I'm like, if I would have killed, like what would I have done to her, like how would she have handled this, you
Yeah.
know what I mean, like the trauma that I would have
Mm.
put her through, you know. And even just now, like I said, I was traveling this week for work, which I like, you know, for the company that I work for, I don't like doing. It's been a while since I had to travel, but I was gone for the week, and she missed me like crazy. She was just calling me every single day, wanted to be on the phone, any excuse to try to talk to me, and it just kept me reminded like how important we
Mm.
are to them, you know, and just how that would have left her at 5 years old, you know, without a dad, you know. And like you were 12, we had a little bit more understanding and seeing that, you know. But I'm sure that like you said, after it really kind of sank in, you know, it did
Yeah.
something to you, you know.
Yeah, no, it definitely
And
did, and I get an opportunity to travel different schools too, um, and man, kids go through a lot. We have this speaker who goes out and speaks and talk about having a dad hug, and man, the kids, man, even though fathers are present, they're not present, and it's crazy what they go through as far as like being in depression state or being suicidal. um Actually like had kids like bring guns to school, um because they need that father figure in their lives, even if they're there. Like there's been shootings where fathers are there, and they're not present in their lives. Like
right,
it's a lot, and when I come back from those schools, man, I just hug my kids, hug them, let them know that I love them. And sometimes, like parents in general, don't tell their kids they love them. They do a lot of correction stuff. They tell them what they're doing wrong. But sometimes we just need to tell them, hey, I love you. I care for you.
yeah,
Um, just so they know that. Just so they know that.
yeah.
And
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
huge on that. I'm huge. Like my daughter, if they don't hear that I tell them that I love them at least 100 times a day, yeah,
yeah.
I may be exaggerating, you know. But I just want them to, because that's part of like what it is for me. Like I remember for me growing up, and I told this to many people. Like the moment I wanted to be a dad, I was 13 years old. I knew that I wanted to be a dad because my niece was first born, and I held her for the very first time, and I looked at her, and at that moment, I understood what
Mm.
unconditional love is. And I never had that. Like I felt like I didn't have that. Everybody was judging or getting to pick or choose. And I seen this little baby come to the world who didn't know me
Mm.
next to nothing. And it was just instant love and care, you know, like no judgment, no nothing, and it felt that peace. And at that moment, I was like, all right, I know I need to be a dad so I can have that unconditional love, because I didn't feel like again like people around me, or there's very few that I felt would given
Mm.
that to me. So it's so important that I tell her that how much that I care about her, I love her, and how much she's a great person and that she's cool, so that she grows that confidence within herself and knows that she has value and that they are appreciated. They shouldn't think that they're less than
Hmm.
anybody else, but that they shouldn't think that they're better than
Right.
anybody else either. You know, like I tell my daughter, like you are you, you're unique, you're special, just like everybody else. Everybody else is special in their own way. All right. So we can't judge, decide, or push. You know what I mean? Like, and if people are coming to you negatively, don't focus on energy. Don't take it anymore. Just switch it
Yep.
and go somewhere else, because you control your feelings. I tell my daughter, like, when she comes home, oh, so and so made me sad. Excuse me?
Yep.
Nobody makes you sad. You decided to be sad for
Yep.
somebody what they did. So I want you to understand that concept, because I don't want her to allow other people to
Mm.
control her feelings. Because as we know, if somebody controls your
Yep.
feelings, they own you. They got you under their thumb, and there's nothing
Yep.
you can do about it. All right. But if you master your own feelings and you know how to you harness that and not let anybody else impact you,
Yep.
you golden. And that's what I learned from
Mm.
my experience, right? Because I let everybody else like pick on me and they made me sad and all that stuff. And then at the end of the day, like I said, I was like, listen, if somebody says something to you, I guarantee you that the moment that they walked away from you, they stopped thinking about you. They don't care. You're not on their mind right now. Like, they off doing whatever they want to do right now while you're sitting here deciding to be upset because
Mhm.
of what they did, when you can just say, hey, you know what, whatever, and move on and be happy and
Yep.
find something else.
Yeah, no, I we go
You know.
through that same thing, even though they're I think she's in kindergarten, preschool, kindergarten, one of those.
Mm.
She tells us like so one of the kids made her upset. But one thing that we let her know is like, or even if somebody talks about her, like sometimes kids are going through something and the only way they know how to release is to backlash at somebody else. And usually that's mostly the case is if somebody's bad mouthing or talking about you or don't have anything good to say about you, is like they're going through something themselves. And that's how I got through high school. It's just like I usually when somebody talked about me, I turned it around. I was like, you must be going through something right now, right?
Yeah, you know what? That's so funny because I kid you not, man. Just recently, I told my daughter the same thing. She was like, "Oh, so and so is bullying me." So, but I was like, "Mommy, if somebody comes to you with an attitude or trying to bully you, take a moment, look at them in their face, and just ask, "Is
Yep.
everything okay?" Just like that. Just calmly, just ask, "Is
Yep.
everything okay?" And you will see how they will be baffled and
Yep.
confused on what just happened. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, it
that's all
does.
it takes. Because we know that's a lot of times it's just
Yep,
people going through
yep.
stuff.
I go through it on Instagram. I get people like, "Why are you doing this?" Or I get DM like, "Bro, you could be doing something else. Like, you should just drop Instagram." And I was like, "How you doing today?" I like just throw them off randomly,
Yeah.
and they'll talk back. And I even turn some of those trolls into followers. Like, okay, I do see what you're doing. I do like what you're doing. I'm a follow. But it's just actually me taking that extra step. My wife don't like it. She's like, "Why do you engage with those who are bad, bad mouthing you or just talking about your page?" Like they have to be going through something where they had taken the time
Yeah.
out to actually write and say something bad about me. But it's just those type of people just need somebody to talk to. So I'm gonna be that person. That's just
Mhm.
me.
Yeah, yeah, no, and like a lot of people too, like and I have one of this. His name's Rome. He has a podcast too, What to Do podcast, and I kind of just took him on as like and just mentoring him and stuff. He has great energy. I mean, really good guy, really great guy, great show and everything. And he sometimes he's very
Mm,
expressive, right, with his feelings. So sometimes when he's going through some stuff, I see him posting on his story, and he posted something about like people talking, trash like in his comments and like, I may want to do this. So I hit him up. I was like, listen, man, don't let nobody
no.
get to you like that, bro. Because at the end of the day, guess what? They still watched your video. Like they sat there for 10, 15, 20 minutes
Yeah.
just to find something to hate about. Like, I would say thank you,
Exactly.
bro. Appreciate the view. You know what I mean? Like, and just take it that way. And like Cardi B said that too. She's like, thanks to all my haters, cause yeah, I still watch my like true. Like just
Yeah.
and don't let
No.
them get to you, right? Because like we all know that. And then it's if well, the moment you do,
Yeah.
they own you, right? They know how to react and they got to your feelings, and that's what you really don't want to do is allow
No.
them to get to your
No,
feelings.
and
So,
that's how you can be
um,
that role model out there for them. Just showing that you care for them. Even younger, old. Like I
mhm,
had a lot of older on Facebook because I went viral on Facebook. I had a lot of older people because there's a lot of older people on Facebook
mhm,
just bash me. But I just asked how you're doing. Like, what's your reasoning on this comment or anything like that. But just having that open mind of just talking to them to find out something,
yeah,
they'll be the first to actually support you, actually taking the extra step of doing that. And that's how I'm treating Instagram right now. It's just being an actual role model and just being a person they can talk to at any time of the day. Anytime somebody DMs me, I actually write back to them because I want to be that person to actually
yeah.
encourage people.
I can attest to that, man. Like I kid you not. When I reached out to you, I was like, yeah, man, I think it's amazing and what you're doing. In the back of my mind, I was like, man, he's probably gonna be too busy. So when he responded, I was like, oh snap, man, and I take it as validation, right? And just taking and making moves, right? Because I don't know. Have you ever read the book The Secret? Do you know about the with
Mm-mm.
Rhonda Byrne? It's all about the law of attraction. It's called the Secret. I don't know if they still have it on Netflix, like the little video of the book, but it's an amazing book that really helped me take a little bit more control of my life. I was kind of doing those things already, but I didn't understand why I was doing those things, right? But it's all about the law of attraction, right? Whatever your energy, whatever you're thinking, whatever you put out there, the vibration that you got out there is what you
Mm-mm.
attract, right? So Like just simple things. Like if you think about, and it doesn't understand positive or negative, right? So it's only about what you think about. So perfect example is like, oh, I don't want to be late for work. I don't want to be late for work. I don't want to be. What you're saying is,
Yeah.
I'm going to be late for work, right? So that's what you're attracting. Everything is going to come to you. That's when you say like, oh, I need to be, I'm going to be late, and then you hit every
Yeah.
single red light, right? You get behind that car that don't know what he's doing, trying to make that decision. You know, you forget your keys in the house. You know what I mean? Like, and so all these things go into make you late
Yeah.
because that's what you're thinking about,
Yeah.
right? So that's just like the very simplistic
Oh,
version of it, but it's just that. But the other part of that is that they say, you know, when you want something, you need to have a vision, right? Have it just crystal clear of what you want. Don't focus on the steps, don't focus on the strategies, don't focus, just focus on really what you want and just
yeah.
start taking action. And by taking action, you'll start to see and things will pull you and guide you to where
Mhm.
you need to go. Right. And that's kind of what I'm doing with this podcast. Right? Just going out there and then I'm just following the flow. And I think like part of me is like, I'm always like, man, am I making an impact? So when you responded, I was like, you know what? God is telling me I'm doing the right thing, right? This dude is busy. He's got a lot of, you know, he's got a lot of things going on. But for some reason, he took the time to reach out to you, and now we're here. Even like I said, and again, full transparency. You know, when I reached out, I was talking with your agent and stuff, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, we're gonna do this weekend," but then something came up, and I was like, I know he probably like I know it's maybe it's being nice and just trying to let me down easy, you know what I mean? And just kind of like, but whatever, we'll see what happens. And again, and then it's like, oh wow, it's really gonna go down. Like, and
Yeah.
it's just for me like that. I feel like there's a lot of things that when I come to my show, is just like, God, this is
Mhm.
what you need to be doing. Like, this is where you need to be at and focus your energy. And when I start to drift away from that or try to do things like something else kind of steers me back, and it's all about that the secret because I know where I want this. So when I have that vision, and things are gonna help me guide me back on track. But the most part of that is that you still got to go ahead and take action and do something, right? Don't sit there. And I think one of the best things the analogy that I loved is that there's a guy drowning in
Mhm.
the ocean, right? And then a boat comes by and he's like, hey, you know, do you need some help? He's like,
Yeah.
nah, God's gonna save me. So all right, he drives off. And again comes back another boat and he's like, you need some help? God's gonna save me. Guy drowns, goes to heaven. I'm like, God, why didn't you save me? I sent you two boats, bro. Like, what? Like, I mean, what more?
All right.
You know, like, so it's that thing. You know, when you see
Yeah.
something, take action, right? Don't ignore those feelings. Don't ignore that gut feeling that you have and stuff.
Yeah.
Take action, good or bad or whatever. It's either going to be a lesson or a blessing, right?
You
But you
do,
got to
you
do
do, and
something.
I even attest to that. Like I was a personal banker for the 2 years, and last year it was like I'm gonna put all in into social media just to see what happens. If it pops off, then I made. If not, then it was like at least I tried, and I wanted to try something new. I wanted to try something different. I wanted to put myself out there. I had to learn. Like a lot of people don't want to learn. A lot of people don't want to do the research. But I did the research. I learned the algorithm. I learned that I need to post consistently, and I have to set time to actually make the videos to do that.
Mhm.
But a lot of people don't want to do that. But it takes time. It takes yourself being consistent. It takes yourself being disciplined.
Mhm.
It takes yourself just being open to new stuff and trying new things. And a lot of people
Yeah.
get just stuck at just turning the camera on.
So many people want it, but they don't want to put in the work. When they start
Yeah.
getting, they see like it's not. It does. It looks very simple. Like when people put in the time and the effort
Hmm.
to do these videos, it looks
Yeah.
so effortless, and everybody's like, "Man, I could do that. It's simple." But when you sit down and do it, and you start hitting these cameras, you're like, man, whatever. Like I'm just, and then he's like, you know, you think about like, oh, every couple of weeks, like, oh wait, you know, I got an idea. I'm gonna make this quick video. It's gonna go viral. This is gonna be the one. Like, no, I
Yeah.
guarantee you, it's probably not. I guarantee you. I mean, you know what I mean? Like you're gonna be
Yeah.
sitting here waiting. It's that like it's consistency going out there and putting it out and just trying and trying and trying and seeing what works. Again, Thomas Edison, 10,000 tries to make the
Yeah.
light bulb, right? Like so you just got to keep going out there and keep doing those things. So, you know, I really, really appreciate you taking the time as we wind it down here. And I got you for like an hour. So I got two last questions before we
Okay.
wrap it up here for you. So my first one is you know based on everything that you've been through and all your life experiences and things like that, what has been the best piece of advice you've received?
The best piece of advice. I think the number one advice that I've received is just to be me, and be genuine. Um, yeah, I can't think of anything else. I think it was my actually one of my role models that told me this. It's just being you and being authentic. shows in your character, shows in your family, shows in just your personal life, just being authentically you. um, yeah, that's one thing that I've took from um, from my role model.
Yeah, and I think it's so important because it takes so much more time, effort, energy, mental strength, whatever, to put on a facade and try to
Oh
be
yeah.
something that you're not. It is exhausting, and then trying to keep up with all those things. And I think, Jim Carrey said one of the best quotes that I said when it came to, he says, depression is your body telling you it's tired of playing this
Yeah.
character you created. And when you are yourself and you just it's so much more liberating and freeing. You're not constantly second guessing or wondering if or that, or but it is a
Hmm.
nightmare to constantly wonder and think about what everybody else is thinking about, or what they're gonna look at you as, or try to adjust or paint you. Just don't care, because after they see you, they make whatever comment. Yeah, they'll make comments, they'll say something here,
Yeah.
there, and for that moment, for that instance that they're in their presence. And then the moment they turn around, is they
Right.
going back to whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so we can't let that impact us and deter us, because again, like I said, I went through years and years trying to
Hmm.
fit in where I didn't belong. And it was just depression and anxiety and sadness and suicidal thoughts. And then, like, when I'm finally alone and not being anybody else and I'm trying to do things, and it's just like, do I
Right.
really enjoy this? Or is it just because I trained my body to become
Mm.
accustomed to this? Or like what? Um, and it's just even more depressing and saddening to realize that you
Right.
don't even know who
Right.
you
No,
are.
I was talking to one of my other clients and they said that they bought a page, um and they were buying, you can buy likes, and they used to buy followers and things
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. I was like, that's not how you grow an audience. That's not how being organic to an audience. You're buying stuff and no one's going to come cuz it's like, who first, who are you, and why are you getting so many likes on one video and not another? But you have to be yourself. You have to be true to who you are, and then those who will follow and like and understand who you are, and actually whatever content you put out, they're going to be the first to actually see the video or like the video. um
Mhm.
and I get a couple people that's like, you buy all those followers, you buy those likes. It's like, I have two kids and a wife. I don't have extra money to just be,
That's not me spending no
I
money.
don't have
Less like
extra money to
to be
be
buying.
buying stuff.
Please, please. Like, do you know what my dinner is? Most of the times, my dinner is some cold ass quesadillas and some leftover chicken nuggets and some fries that they're gonna
Right.
eat for dinner. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even make myself a plate of food because I don't want to waste none. Because I know they're
Right.
gonna not eat half of their stuff.
No, man, it's all
So
like, I actually had a guy. I don't know if this is probably going off topic anyway, but this guy actually wrote me and said that I'm wasting food. I was like, how am I wasting food? He was like, I actually like your content, but there's people, and he's from Nigeria. He was like, there's people in Nigeria that are starving and needing food. I was like, hey, I appreciate you following and liking, the video and the content, but it's like, this is my dinner and my lunch. I
right,
have
like
to eat.
I'm eating all of this. This ain't going to waste, bro. Like,
I don't know why I had to say that, but
no, because it's crazy how people just they look for anything, man. Like, it's just it is mind boggling the extent that people try to go through to like hurt. Listen, we won't go off topic with that one. Again, I used to work in a call center taking
yeah,
calls. I was a supervisor there, and I got this lady calling up arguing because she wanted the $10 credit because we charge her $10 to make the payment over the phone with us. And we was like, well, the agent told you. She's like, yeah, he told me, but I had to get a paper in, and I didn't have no choice, so I had to pay it on whatever.
yeah,
So you knew, right? She's like, no, but how is that fair? Like, I had to say whatever. And she's going on. I was like, ma'am, I'm not gonna give you the credit. I'm not. And she starts screaming, like literally just screaming on the top of her lungs. She's like, you hear that? You hear that? I hope you go deaf. And I was like, just lower down the volume, man. But I'm not
right.
gonna give you your credit. And she's like, what is your name? I was like, my name's Alfredo, man. Like, well, Fettuccine
Oh
Alfredo. What a
wow.
stupid name. And I'm just like, I just at one point I was like, "Ma'am, is your mom home? Can I talk to the parent in the house? Like, let me just talk to the adult that's there because this is just, because they snap and they look. I mean, we've seen all those people going off on these weird
Yep.
for any little thing, just trying to find something, and it's
Yeah.
kind of sad. Um, but just kind of gotta let it roll a little off, man, and just don't take it to heart because again, they're just trying to get at you because, like you said too, there's something going on with them or something that's happening in their lives, and they're just looking for an outlet because they can't
Right.
confront their real issue. Let me go do something else where
Yep.
I feel like I could actually win.
Yep.
So well, we can't let it go to that one. So definitely great advice there. Then the last question that I have for you, then again, just on everything that you're going through, your journey, things that you've learned from these experiences and stuff, looking at some of these young kids coming up and trying to follow in your footsteps or trying to do something along these lines, what is one piece of advice you would like to give to them?
Ooh. Um. Don't lose hope. I feel like
Mm,
a lot of even older adults just lose hope because they don't see the results. If you go to a gym
mm-hmm,
one day, like you're not gonna see results that same day. You have to constantly go. You have to constantly um, get in the gym and lift those weights. But that's just giving an instance of being consistent, being in there just
mm-hmm.
constantly. Man, I feel like the world has lost hope in ourselves, has lost hope in the government. I mean, we lost hope in that a long time ago, but we just lost hope in ourselves, and we've given up. Don't give up. That's one piece of advice I would say. Is
Yeah.
don't give up. Don't lose hope. Be you.
Yeah, no, I think that that is key. Like you say, just don't give up and just have hope. I think that goes back to like we started this conversation, right? Having faith in something. Find religion. Find whatever you want to find to have a higher power to pray to or believe to, and keep that guidance because that'll help you continue to
Yeah.
push forward, right? I know there's a lot of times that we've seen these things happen, and there could we can fill multiple internets with stories of people who were just on the
Yeah.
verge of greatness and quit and just stop. They were right there,
Yeah.
just one more day, just one more try, one more video, one more, just one more, and you would have been there, right? And it also goes down to this other thing. Like I say, I think a lot of these motivational speakers and things that we have to plan out to is
Mm.
there is no plan B, right? Don't have a plan B. I know like people may think like of a certain thing, but if you have a plan A and you focus on your plan and you're determined and you're like, I'm not gonna rest until this works. Guess what? One day one some way somehow
Yeah.
eventually is going to work, right? Because you continued to try and push and learn and develop and change and grow, and that's all part of that experience, right? You have to take action and move and grow and develop because that's how you're going to develop the skills and learn to eventually be successful and do that what you want to do and be at that point. Never get, we've seen that too, like Colonel Sanders was 67
Yep.
when KFC popped off. You know what I'm saying? Like, so there is no age, there is no timeline. You are never late or on time for whatever. For what's meant for you is meant for you, and it'll come at the
Yep.
moment it needs to come. Don't rush. Don't be impatient. Don't go out and buy these views because again, that's just not the success you want. It's so much more gratifying when you look and you know that those views came up. You didn't pay $1 for an ad, a dollar. These are people like you said who
Yeah.
genuinely get you. They want to follow you.
Right.
They want to be here. Those people that you pay for those for what? They're gonna like that one thing, whatever, and then move on. And then
Yeah.
what? Right? It's just it's not gonna turn out the way
No.
you want it to
No.
turn out, man.
No. That's good.
Yeah, man. So I mean, it's been amazing, man. Again, it's been an absolute honor. Thank you so much for taking out the time to sit with me for even responding to my messages and responding to other people who do reach out to you. I think it's key that when we are in these positions and people who genuinely reach out to that, we take a moment and
Yeah.
try to acknowledge them because we don't know what that
Right.
conversation means to that person, what that word or what that thing happens. I'm sure there's times in our lives, like just recently, I was going through a really tough day at work and I was just, really beating myself up and feeling down, like just a complete failure. And me and my sister, we joke, like my sister, like we know we love each other. We don't say it a lot. We get,
Yeah.
what I mean? Like just teasing and stuff. But just out of nowhere, like my sister just texted me at the moment, like, hey,
Mm.
just want to say I love you. And I texted her back. I was in tears at the moment. I was literally crying. I was so in frustration. I was like in tears, and I texted her back. I was like, "You have no idea how much I
Mm.
needed to hear that right now. You have no clue." So when people reach out and do that again, have been we wanted this platform, right? We created this platform ourselves because if we didn't want, we wouldn't be out putting out these
Right.
videos, doing our podcast, doing whatever that we're doing to get this recognition. So we want this platform, and if we want this platform, like Uncle Ben said, with great power comes great
Yeah.
responsibility, right? So we have to make sure that we abide by that and use it. So I wish you nothing but continued success, bro. I love everything that you're doing. I can't wait to see your daughter's page when she gets out there and start doing more of her videos because I
Right.
think it's absolutely great. Maybe you guys do a duet together, you know what I'm saying, with something that would be absolutely amazing and
Oh
keep
yeah.
those memories for her because those are going to last a lifetime. That's going to really help her know and understand what to look for in the man that she decides to eventually one
Oh,
day be with, you know what I mean, and go through that. And that's part of why I think, especially, yeah, for young men to teach our kids how to teach our boys how to grow up and be a strong and capable man, but also for our daughters, it's important that we are there and show them what type of man to look for, what to do, and show them what love what love from a man really looks like and what it should be, so they don't get lost in the streets looking in the wrong places with these wrong guys and getting themselves in trouble. Because again, like you said,
mhm.
their dad
Yep.
wasn't present. So let's be there and do that, man. So thank you so much,
Yeah,
man. I
no
appreciate
problem.
you,
I
spread.
appreciate being on and keep it going. Keep it going, man.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. We're gonna be here, gonna keep rocking. I'm gonna keep consistent, keep trying, man. And everybody, like I always say, no matter who you are, no matter what you've done, your big brother loves you. Stay blessed, everybody.